Hey, Scott Fresener here with the T-shirt report, and this is episode number 22, and I'm with my good friend Richard Greaves on the other side of the aisle here. And Mr. Greaves, today what are we going to cover?
Well, today I'm going to talk about the safe light test that I've been doing. You're going to talk about the free pricing guide and the proof sheets that you've created for on-site printing, which you're going to talk about quite a bit, even including an Epson printer out in the field, which in the olden days of only 10 years ago, that was completely unheard of. I've got books that I want to show you. Naturally, I have books. We're also going to talk about the trade show season, especially SGIA, where we're going to have our own booth. I can't wait.
My bags are packed. I'm ready to go. Sounds like
I have to put lights in my car.
Oh, there you go. Yes, you do. You do. We talked about that. Going to be a great show, guys. Hang on. Have a good time. Hey, I noticed that you're wearing a button-down shirt. We've been trying to wear
it's getting colder.
T-shirts.
47 degrees this morning.
And in talking pre-show, we were discussing wearing ties. And I asked you, when was the last time you wore a tie? Because, it used to be you when you packed for the shows, you'd take your suits, your selection of ties, different long-sleeve shirts, go to the dry cleaner. I pack T-shirts now on my Levi's. But so I'm wearing a tie in honor of our years of wearing ties. This is from the Jerry Garcia collection. Mm-hmm. I have a whole bunch of and it was really lonely. I have 3 ties here in Bowling Green. I went just now. I knew where they're at. They're on a little hanger, tucked away, thinking maybe there'll be some event here. I'm in Bowling Green, and maybe there'll be something here where they'll wear a tie. So anyway, you haven't worn a tie in a while.
Well, you remember when we used to wear ties to do seminars in the 80s and 90s?
Oh my God, you had to. Oh yeah.
Did we actually have to?
But you did. But you did. It was a trade show.
You dressed up to show respect to your attendees.
Yeah.
And after a while, I think that floated away.
Well, as ties went away, the foreigners still wore ties at shows. Remember, we kind of all stopped wearing ties there, but the foreigners, because that was very traditional. Like even now, when I think at the last festival, I may have wore a tie a couple times because there's always a cocktail reception or something that and the foreigners kind of expect that. So I always take the ties when I travel overseas, just in case you might need it and stuff. So anyway.
Well, the big wheels that work for Hewlett Packard or
they had to wear ties.
Big companies that are showing up, they're still out there. When we were in Vegas last year, it's hot outside, and I'm seeing these guys in their black suits trudging across. And
yeah, I think it's mandatory. Isn't it? Probably the rules. I mean, they probably have to wear a tie, and they probably even when they travel, they got to do that kind of stuff.
They're a more important company now.
See, I remember when we used to make equipment, and we would take guys from the factory to work the booth because you just needed bodies in a booth sometimes. So there'd be 4 or 5 technicians who could hook up the dryers and stuff. These are guys that didn't get out too often. I remember every morning at a trade show, knock on my door, there'd be my 3 or 4 guys with a tie in hand. Dad, can you tie this for me? So anyway, and so I would tell them, look, don't untie it. Just slip it over your head, and then the next morning you put it down. So even this morning, though, I had to, how your fingers always know where to go. If you've tied a single Windsor enough times, you just know. I fumbled for a minute earlier when I tied this. I had to think, is it this way or this way? But because it's just a natural thing for guys that are older, probably like driving a stick shift. Anyway, hey, what's the shirt behind you? It says snow. It's not snowing yet, is it, in Detroit?
No, that's
the British. That's the British flag too.
Well, it's the British flag. I got that in China.
Oh, the Y is cut off though. The Y is cut. I'm sorry, that's why it says snow. On my screen, the Y is cut off. So
it's snowy.
Oh, snowy. Okay.
Tintin's dog.
Okay. All right. There we go. You got that in Hong Kong?
Bought that in Hong Kong on Stanley Harbor, or Stanley Island, 1993, December. I went there for the Label Expo, and
that was with who paid for your ride then? Newman?
No, I went on my own.
Oh, really?
I went as I went as a friend with John Mason.
Oh, right.
Reflex, and he was at that time, I think, part of Chuck Knoll's part of M&R International.
Right. Yeah.
And so I went along. I documented the trip. I took all sorts of pictures for internal work for M&R International. And then when I wanted to write about it, John Mason sort of went, "Oh no."
Oh no. Yeah.
Because I had great photographs of the whole thing, and then had to suppress them all. So I think the moratorium is off on that because it's been 20 years now. But
I was in Hong Kong before then, and we talked a little bit pre-show that I was there before that for what was I there for? A big trade show, and I found this place that sold bootleg software called the Golden something. I told you. I
The
told
Golden
you.
Computer Center.
Yeah, I told you about it, where you could buy anything you wanted on a floppy back then. Anything,
Really?
you name it, for
Really?
$2, whatever. And you went there.
So I hadn't left the downtown area of Nathan Road except to go to the convention center. And my biggest memory of being in China at that time is that literally down the street, because of the tiny hotel room that I was staying in, my friends were staying in. I think John Mason was staying at the Oriental Mandarin, and at least we had tea there once. And I think that tea or breakfast at the Peninsula, where Chuck Noll and Ricardo Fassi were staying, breakfast was more than what I was paying for my room, because I was paying my own bills. So I paid $16 a night, and they're paying $450 a night on a deal.
This is Hong Kong, by the way. I'm not sure you said we said China, but I'm not sure we're clear. But it was China, of course.
Definitely Hong Kong.
Oh, Hong Kong, yeah. Great city. Tiny little rooms.
I lost my train. Oh, but so to be able to go work, there was a McDonald's 2 blocks down the road. And when you go in, of course, I'd go in at maybe 10 o'clock at night to work at the table, so I'd have to buy something. And so I remember, I said, well, I'll order a Big Mac, and the meat was still meat. Meaning it doesn't taste like McDonald's here in America.
Right, yeah.
And I thought, oh, this is what it used to taste like. So that's the last time in 93 that I had a good McDonald's hamburger. But I used to go in there at night, midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, and, it was open 24 hours. So that was my
But you went to the Golden Computer Center, and our rest in peace buddy, Richard Lebov, had asked you, because he was always...
Richard had given me a list. He wanted Windows NT, which is still... They had... I don't know what they had, but we were still waiting for it to come out. But to be able to buy it, it was like 8 floppy disks, which seemed like a lot. Now it's not even a CD.
No.
So it's big. But I was real nervous because I wanted to make sure. I bought a couple of disks and I tried them out on my laptop with all the antivirus software. They were bootlegs, but they were great. But they introduced me to things, because I remember I bought the big graphics programs. I already had Corel Draw, but I bought a bunch of software programs. I tried them out, and then I bought the real thing. So it wasn't so bad. It was just before try software or shareware to try.
Right.
It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that trip. There were a lot of great people.
I had some great experiences there. Pat and I had a good time. We had a small hotel room like you had. We were at the Hotel Kowloon, and we went shopping every day. The doormans are going, "You back again with more bags?" We had the room packed. And you know what the number one store, if you recall, the number one store that's there is suitcase stores. Everywhere there were suitcase stores for the crazy Americans. This is before baggage, costing so much to check and stuff. You could just tip the guy curbside and check all you wanted. So anyway, hey, when you go back to school, what do you write there your little thing on when you're a kid? How did I spend my summer? We haven't done a show in a few weeks because we've both been kind of busy traveling and stuff. And what have you been up to for the last few weeks?
I'm surprised. All of a sudden, people are calling me. They're calling me on Skype, as we're doing right now, and calling me on the telephone. So I've actually been doing some great consulting over the telephone. And nothing's better than when you're using Skype and you're talking to somebody from Europe, and they get it. That when somebody says, "Oh, I see what you mean," nothing makes me feel better than
I'm with you.
Now, the slogan that I got, I liberally stole from David Landisman, who I was talking to David Landisman of Lawson Screen Products, my old boss from the year 2000 to 2005. And he says, "Richard, I'm telling everybody, be brave and call." And that's what we always wanted people to do at Lawson and at Yolanda when I worked for both of those bigger companies. I wanted you to call me. David only really let people talk to me for no more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, the timer, I know that.
The thing is, I'd see him standing at 10 minutes because I'm sure something went off on his phone, and he'd just come in and he'd give me that watch thing, and I go, okay, finish it up. And the sales ladies were supposed to, if they couldn't do it, they were supposed to give it to Richard, but then get them off, find a way to interrupt them, because my time was more valuable than just answering those goofy questions that people ask. But I love that because I can do that sitting down. I don't have to run around. Mm-hmm. So.
But you've been playing with lighting. You're working.
Now that's true. A friend of mine here in Detroit is rebuilding his factory, and we're trying to figure out what do we use for fluorescent gold lamps, which traditionally I've just bought the T12 lamps. Well, This is the first factory that I've advised on that you can't get T12 bulbs anymore. You're not supposed to use them anymore. I've mentioned those in one of these T-shirt reports that I did in the past, how Germany has killed or started the landslide of removing the T12 cool white bulbs and T12s in general. And so we started to test because we need to know what gold lamps to put in the new screen room. And the new gold lamps, T5s and T8s, have 48 to 5,000 lumens compared to the 14 or 1,500 lumens that T12 lamps put out. So when you plug them in, literally, they're just so much brighter, you can't even believe they're fluorescent. So I'm very impressed. But when I tested the 54-watt high-output gold lamps that I thought would just work, I did a test at 5 feet, and it only takes 24 hours for a yellow or a gold lamp to flash the stencil. Mm-hmm. So they're not light safe. They are not UV safe. So we're going to be testing sleeves next week, and we're going to figure out what's going on. I'll keep you guys posted as to what I found for these new HO bulbs. But
you can't get the T12s anymore, you said.
I'm sure you still can, but you're investing in an old technology, and they're just not as efficient. These new lamps go for 35,000 hours or 30,000 hours, depending on who's making it. 20,000 is a minimum. When you break that down, you're talking about I'll change the lamps in 10 years.
Yeah. What's the cost difference though?
Well, they're $10 a piece. The gold lamps. I've never bought the fixers that my friend got. They came with 4 lamps in them already. So, I was all worried. What are we going to buy for the ink room? And the lamps came with them. It was a package deal. The fixture with the lamps. They're CRI, which is now I've forgotten. It's based on the purity of the color reproduction. I forgot what CRI looks like. We'll have to put something underneath here. Yeah. Look right here. This is where Scott's putting in what that is in the post production. But they have a CRI of 85, and the top is 100. Nothing has a 100 rendering of perfect light. The best lamps that I've ever had were the Durotest that they don't make anymore, and they had a CRI of 900. So I'm just really impressed. I fanned out the Pantone book, and you can see every color beautifully.
Mm-hmm. How did you test them, though, for output? What did you do to test them?
Oh, I believed what they said on the thing. I have a lumen meter over there.
I know you did, yeah.
But when we mounted the first one in the factory, there were factory lights in there already, and all of a sudden there's a big round circle. Mm-hmm. This thing is 20 feet up in the air, which is just overall lighting, and I'm putting them 10 feet above the printing presses.
Wow.
It's going to be what I've always said. I want to look like you're performing surgery or you're in a billiard parlor. I don't care about the ceiling. Mm-hmm. I want the light on the press.
That's smart.
But there are no excuses for missing the registration mark.
You've been at so many shops where there's no lighting. You go, what the hell are you guys doing here? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm anxious to see how this turns out.
Well, the lamps that come with it, I tested those, and it was a failure. They were not light safe. You never know. You hope.
Yeah.
Then I told her we bought a couple of different gold bulbs. 24 hours they flashed. I put a dime on the screen, and boom, that washed out instantly. And then 10, 20 seconds of washing out, and then it clumped away. So it looked like bad pudding or curdled.
You did it old school. You put a coin on the screen.
Yes.
It's just funny. It's perfect. I think it's even in the old how to print book or something, but who would have thought?
Well, I got it from Kodak. When I learned how to do Kodak 3-tray processing in my father's basement, I was born with a dark room in the basement. And, I'm 6 years old, and I know, my dad said, hey, I developed these. Oh, okay, Dad, I'm helping my dad.
Yeah.
No, I was working for free.
You're souping film at that age. That's amazing.
But it was something he taught me. He'd learned photography in the Army, and he had worked at a photography store. But he showed me, here's how you tell if the room is light safe when he was originally building the dark room down in the basement.
Yeah. I haven't used that technique in so long. We used to use ruby lit, so anyway, that's a great...
Well, every time I go into a shop, I say, put coins on a screen, and if you think that it's not safe, so you put them on early on. So you put one on every 10 minutes for an hour. Mm-hmm. Then you put one on every hour. Then you put one on every day after that. And I remember I'm at some shop, and on Thursday I'm there for a week, and kid goes, "Oh, Richard, you forgot this money in the screen room." Okay.
That's
Okay. And that's what taught me to write on masking tape Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or 10, 20, 30, because when you take the coins away, you won't remember which was which. So you make out your legend first.
I've been kind of busy in Bowling Green printing a little bit here and there. I'm involved in a couple of charities and a couple of events. I did an event a few weeks ago called The Big To Do. And I told you about this before, that it was 3 days, 30 bands. Pat and I went out and bought a 10-man tent. We're going to camp out. Going to be really cool. Michael Fresener is going to be there. The grandkids are going to be there. We're going to work this event, listen to bands. I didn't realize these bands, when they're done playing at 2 a.m. in the morning, then they jam. And so I'm in my 2-man tent going, would you shut the friggin' up? You know, it's like 6 in the morning. Don't you realize I want to sleep? The tent's for sale, by the way. Anybody looking for a 10-man tent? Use once. I'm telling you what, this is a great tent. I decided I'm not that guy. You know, I'm just too old to sleep in a sleeping bag on the ground, and I'm not that guy. But the point of the whole story is that this event was a local ad agency in Bowling Green doing it, and it's all social media marketing. And the event was a bust, actually. I mean, they had 800 people. They thought they were going to get 3,000 or 4,000. Luckily, I printed on site. I took out a press, printed on site. I had my DTG, the Epson printer, printing on site. I didn't have any pre-printed shirts. I came back with blank shirts. But the point is that I've got another event I'm working this Saturday. That's another event, different ad agency. Same deal. They all want to do Facebook promotion. They don't want to do any traditional advertising. And I think these guys call themselves ad agencies because they can build a website. They can do media. They can do media marketing. These are young guys they're an ad agency. We can build your web page. That is not marketing. They don't get it. That there's no radio spots, there's no TV spots, there's no posters, there's no signage, there's no radio station broadcasting live, stuff that would be traditional. And so the point of this whole thing is, though, for those watching this, if you do an event, you got to be careful of this thing. Be careful of guys that think they're marketers and the whole event's being promoted through media. It's just not enough, I don't think. And so the big to-do was I met some people, made some contacts. That was cool. This event this week is a Bourbon and Brew Fest in Bowling Green. We're going to print on site again, and it's going to go to Breast Cancer Foundation research, so it's a charity event. And it's going to be frosty Saturday morning. It's going to be 30 degrees, and we're going to go out about 6 o'clock in the morning because they still haven't got the layout for this where we're going to set up at. So Mike and I are going to go out early. But we're still nervous. We're going to take out transfers this time, do some transfers. We're going to print on site. And so the comment of this whole thing is that if you're going to do an event, if it's an established event, okay, that's cool. They have the numbers. But these new events, these guys think, oh, yeah, we're going to be really cool. We're going to do a Facebook page. We're going to do the tickets online. And with no traditional marketing. I ran into some guy the other day I knew in Bowling Green. Hey, you're going to go to the Bourbon and Brew Fest. What's that? Where's that going to be at? Well, they're going to have a band called Space Capone. Everybody loves them. I know they were going to have a band there. I never even heard about it. I go to my guy and said, hey, you should put on your Facebook page that Space Capone is going to be there. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So anyway, I hope my guy's not watching this program. But anyway, along the same lines, to do this.
Well, Scott,
yeah.
So I can start sending you jobs?
No. I get that now. People kind of say, like I go to my doctor, he says, you're retired, right? And I hate that. I'm not that guy yet. I'm not, So I hate it when somebody says, oh, yeah, you're retired. Because I tell them I live in Arizona in the winter, oh, you're retired. No, I work every day, So I always say I'm in the T-shirt business. You probably say this. I don't know. What do you say when people ask you what you do? You're in the T-shirt business. And people always go, oh, yeah, my neighbor, so. But it is funny in a small town. I don't mean to be rambling with it, but it's interesting. Marketing I found in a small town is different than in like Phoenix, Arizona, where you've got a lot of printers and people don't know people. Here in Bowling Green, my plumber comes over. He sees a printing press in my garage. You do shirts. I buy shirts, He says, hey, your neighbor 2 doors down, they buy a ton of shirts. Really? You know those guys? I met them once because a UPS package went to their house by accident. Yeah, they buy a ton. They're a trucking company. They, 2 nights later, Mike and I were in the garage printing some shirts for this event. Who pulls up in my driveway? Drives up. My neighbor from 2 doors down. Hey, I'm your neighbor from 2 doors down. I hear you do shirts. It was like, I'm just thinking this is how it is. So, but anyway.
Better than Facebook.
Well, it is, really. to me, I've rambled many times on these shows about I think traditional selling is a lost art. That FaceTime that people need, where you learn what they're doing, who they're buying from. These guys come to find out they're buying from some ad agency in town who's not even printing them, who is not returning their phone calls, delivering late. So you find out who the players are by just having that. You'll never find that through messaging and through Facebook pages. You have to have that. I think that FaceTime. But anyway, so these guys at these events want to see a proof. So I go online to see if there's anybody in this industry, and it's probably there. I may have missed it. Has any proofing software? I've got a proof thing for TSEPs, but it shows all the mesh counts. It shows more information than I wanted. So I went into Photoshop and I built a document in Photoshop. Looks like that. I'll bring it up, a real graphic of it. That's just a Photoshop template. I got the T-shirts off of my favorite place, Shutterstock. It cost me $5, and I'm going to put this on my website for download. I'll put a link here. You can download the Photoshop file. All the text information is fill-outable text information area. You just type it in. You can drop in your graphics, and then they wanted to see for the event, the actual event shirts. I went and did another proof. I'm going to put these online, but then I had people say, well, how about pricing? How much for this? How much for that? Well, okay, I'll do a few shirts here and there, maybe pick up an extra $1. Michael Fresener could use the extra money sometimes. So I go online to see who does any kind of a pricing formula. Well, I have my own formula in my how to print T-shirt book, but I'm thinking somebody must have something out there. And I use Inksoft, which has a pricing formula figured out, but people want to see a price list. So I build a little Excel spreadsheet, 1 to 8 colors, front side, back side. All you do is plug in the cost of the goods landed, and boom, fills it all out. That's on my website too. I'll put a link up here for it. I'm going to put it up for a free download. You can have it. It's an Excel spreadsheet. For those that are new, that are struggling with pricing, my prices are pretty much comparable with Custom Ink and in Bowling Green Blue Cotton, and I went and looked at everybody's prices to see where I needed to be. And you and I probably talked about pricing before. Maybe we haven't about. You have the two different schools of thought. You have the people that think you need to be
a la carte.
No, that too. But you need people that say you need to take your overhead, how many shirts you can print per day, and blah 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 blah. It has nothing to do with it because you've got you're in Bowling Green, you got Blue Cotton. They're your competition. Their pricing, you need to be somewhere in line with those guys. And make your overhead work to fit those numbers. Anyway, those are the things I'm going to put on the website. I didn't mean to be rambling on it, but I think that the proof sheet's important. You got to look professional. I mean, I'm working on my garage, so I got to look professional. I actually did a label for the boxes when I delivered shirts to these guys that are doing the Breast Cancer Research Foundation thing. That's the charity we're printing at. They wanted pre-event shirts, so I did some shirts for them. I printed up some stickers for the box, took the box in, so it has a sticker on it. Looks very professional. It's either that or give it to them in the beat up Gildan box, which we've all done. Yeah. Anyway, so just that's what I've been doing for the last few weeks. That and color separations, nonstop for sure. So I know you're an avid reader, and I know you're reading something every day. So today, what's on the Greaves reading list?
As long as you ask.
It's right there.
So, you know how you get the girls to like you? You send them a 6-pound. You send them a 6-pound book. This is a book that was just introduced 2 days ago about Philip Tracy that I gave to my girlfriend Gina, the milliner, who you've heard me mention many times, even on this podcast. This is a book published by Rizzoli, and it's a fantastic book, great pictures, but we had to make room on the shelf because I've got one shelf in the living room where we can put big books. And so this gets a very prominent thing. I had to take it out of the plastic bag, and now
hang on. What's it about, though?
Oh, it's about Philip Tracy, the milliner. So it's about ladies' hats.
It's about hats, okay.
So it's
open a
but
page
that's just a lead in.
Open a page so we can see it. I'm just curious because I know Gina does hats. Oh, that's right down her alley. Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. All right. There we go. I love coffee table books,
That's Isabella Blau.
There's a hat.
Mentor for Philip Tracy. But this gets me to foodling around because I needed to make room on the big shelf. Careful when I put this down. And so this also led me to I probably sat for 3 hours and read again this book about lead belly published by my friend John Reynolds of New York City, an old family friend. That's the Lead Belly book. But this is the book that everybody should be thinking about if they're giving a gift book. And I know that I mentioned this in the past, but this is a history of screen printing. Everybody needs to be thinking, what should they be giving their loved ones this summer?
You are good.
For Christmas.
Like that thing.
Now,
so, Mr. Greaves, where can they buy this book?
Now, the books are usually distributed by Signs of the Times, the people that publish Screen Printing Magazine. But Andy McDougall and Guido Langweiler. I'm sorry, I muggled up your name. Guido Langweiler.
The publisher and the author. Andy
McDougall helped a lot. His daughter did the design of the book, and he did Andy is the second author, but it's really Guido's book. His research is beyond the beyond.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever done anything like that. And there are a lot of books in the United States, but they want to switch to a different way to do some distributing. And I've always volunteered that I can do things in the United States because Andy McDougall is in Canada. So next week, they're shipping me 4 pallets of what's left in the United States.
You talked earlier. You were getting them in. You didn't say 4 pallets.
4 pallets. I don't know how many are on there,
it's
but
about 2,000 pounds or whatever in books or more.
So we have a you have a
pallet jack.
A pallet jack.
Yeah.
The truck driver will help me get them up the ramp into my storage unit, and then I'll bring cases of books here to ship them, or whatever.
Oh, we got to hawk this thing, man. We got to promote this thing.
Well, this is when you got your last publishing of your book. Are you holding up your book now?
I don't have one in front of me.
So you've got your final run of that book. What's the vintage of that book? Is that 2010 or?
No, 2012.
Oh, 12. Okay.
Yeah.
So, everybody keeps telling me nobody reads books anymore, but I just can't believe that. And,
I think that they, like in your case, it's a coffee table piece too. Your book is big enough, the history of screen printing, and it's a book you won't read to learn techniques, how to do it. People go to YouTube for that now, but for your book, it's a collector's item, I think. And I'm that kind of guy. I got books around the house on the Rolling Stones and Eric Clapton and rock and roll and coffee table books. I love that kind of stuff. Not that your book isn't informative. I mean, not your book, but his book. But it's not going to be. I think people don't read books to learn anymore.
It's history. It's just it's good trivia, and it's good to know.
Yeah.
And
how much is the book
we don't
now?
need to be.
We've talked about it before, but you said there's two pricing structures. Yours and Amazon's.
The retail price of the book is $115, just like the Philip Tracy book that came out last week. But you can buy them on Amazon for $75 brand new. If you're a Prime member, you get them shipped. So that's what we're selling them for in the United States also. So why would anybody buy them from me, unless they're going to get another better bulk price? They're not going to actually buy them from me. I'll have them and I'll sell them too, but it's really I'm going to help fulfill and mail them out when they do get sold. Andy McDougall and Guido are really taking care of that sort of thing. But if you want the book, gosh, Amazon, $75. If you're Prime, it gets shipped for free.
Clean deal. So they should do that and not email you to order? I mean, I'm just trying to get the logistics figured out here.
Well, if they want one that's personally shipped from me, where I'll autograph the outside of the cardboard box.
Not the book.
Shipped by Richard Greaves, who had nothing to do with the writing.
Right.
Although it was we had a vote in the Academy of Screen Printing, and I'm the one who nominated this as the title. So that's a very, very small. We're trying to think of what the title should be, because the Academy of Screen Printing Technology did sponsor the book, and a lot of the people that are in the Academy, their companies were, M&R bought a big slew of books, and Safar bought books, and Ryanette bought a tremendous big slew of the books. And so a lot of Stretch Devices, Don Newman's company, they all bought books, and that was an early deposit. And we were able to buy books early. As an Academy member, we were able to buy, and I bought 5 copies ahead of time, and I was able to buy them for $75 each.
Right.
So,
but now you have 4 skids coming in. That'll be man, I feel for you. Don't call me to move them. I've moved so many skids and books over the years.
Nobody wants to help me move, as they never have. So.
No. I did a mailing last week, and I commented in the mailing. I did a promotion for SGIA, which is coming up November 4th through the 6th. That it was that time of the year. You know how when you used to go to school and there was that new Levi's smell, and I was thinking about that first day of school. Well, this time of the year, I don't know about you, but for me, this time of the year always smells of SGIA. I don't know why. I guess because you and I have been going to SGIA for all of our adult lives, and for me, it was always an event that I like to go to, and that smell of fall, and this is that time of the year. SGIA is the 4th through the 6th in Atlanta, which is a good city. Although you don't want to veer too far off of the downtown. Atlanta is like Long Beach, You get a little too far and you're going, wait a minute. And last time I was in Atlanta, the panhandlers were out in force. My God. You couldn't walk 20 feet without getting panhandled. It was most cities I have ordinances against that, but not Atlanta. So anyway, SGI is coming up, and you and I are going to be broadcasting live. I'm still working on how we're going to do it live, but I think we're going to probably be using YouTube Live, where it's going to be live the whole time. And we're going to be broadcasting from the Garment Decorators Zone, lower right corner, back of the hall, and they gave us a whole booth with a backdrop and seating and the whole enchilada. So we're going to be doing that live, and you're going to be hawking products along the side, right? You have the little side thing, Rolex watch, history of screen printing book.
Everybody should getting a history of screen printing book.
Yeah.
Or buying a Scott Fresener and Pat Fresener.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about taking a book, but maybe I will. So, but I want to thank SGI.
Driving down from Nashville?
Yeah, you're driving, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm driving.
Yeah, Mike and I are going to drive down. It's only 300 miles from Bowling Green, so we're going to drive down. And should be fun. I think I'm looking forward to it. You and I are also doing seminars. You're doing a seminar on the 5th on explain to me, Lucy, how I got in this business, right? So
no, it's not how I learned to screen print, which is fashioned after the great cooking book, How I Learned to Cook.
Right. And
I've got a top lineup. I want to do this every year. I really dropped the ball because I did not promote it at this. I looked at the SGIA booth. The website. And all they looks like me. The blurb that I sent in, they didn't use that blurb. I never double checked the blurb. So, Mark Coudray, Andy McDougall, who I mentioned also, it was the domestic contributor to Guido's book, and Jacob Edwards from Jack Prince, always entertaining, and a guy that's really lively. And
you'll have to keep him toned down to his 15 minutes. That'll be.
I explained it. Everybody's got about 15 minutes for their own stuff. Yeah. It's not about me. It's not how I learned to screen print. It's how Mark Coudray, the master screen printer of the United States, how Rick Roth. I forgot to mention Rick Roth of Mirror Image. How a divinity student from Harvard filtered his way into the screen printing business. How Jacob Edwards, a skateboard aficionado with band credits, and all of a sudden he started out, and he isn't just a screen printer. He's got litho printing.
Oh, he does everything. He's got a great catalog. I've saw his catalog once. He does everything. Yeah.
So and Andy McDougall, I had to add somebody that wasn't textile oriented, although Mr. Coudray is a very good industrial printer also. Yeah. But Andy McDougall was a flat stock.
It's at 3:00 on
Thursday,
the 5th
of November.
Right. It's a classic seminar too, which means that they're going to pay.
Well, it's going to be a panel. It's not going to be a seminar.
Right, but it's going to cost. It's not a free zone.
Yes, it's going to cost
whatever the $30 or $40, or I'm not sure what they get for those things. Maybe it's $60. So
no, it's $30 for members. If you're a non-member, I think it's $45. But I think it's going to be worth it because I know the stories these guys are going to tell.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to hearing them tell those stories.
Yeah, should be great. I'm doing one at 11:00 on secrets of high-end printing, which we talked last show. I think about it. It's a topic dear to my heart because I think that if you follow some rules, then high-end printing is even doable for not a startup maybe, but could be. Make the right screen, have good separations, proper press setup, and all that blah blah blah. And then so then we're doing our T-shirt report kind of around our other schedule, and we're going to be interviewing people. We need to work on that list, by the way. We've got to get people signed up. We'll just tell the Academy guys, just come over and hang out and queue up. We'll get Don Newman and we'll get Rich Hoffman and And we should get Nancy Gray there. She can speak to her Spanish-speaking friends.
Okay.
There's a gal who we talked about. We're going to talk about the Academy, which you and I are members of the Academy of. Is it digital and screen or screen and digital? I'm embarrassed. I don't remember which way it is.
It's the Academy of Screen and Digital Printing.
Yeah, because they changed the name
Right.
a few years ago.
ASDPT, the Academy,
to work out.
which is a group of the screen printing, or the SGIA, which is the Specialty Graphics and Imaging Association.
But we have our dinner. But we have 3 new members this year. We have, you know who they are. You've got them on your list right there, right?
Well, on the top of the list is Steve DiCilli, the publisher of Screen Printing Magazine. He used to be my editor when I wrote for Screen Printing Magazine for 9 years under my column that made me pretty famous, Greaves on Garments, during the tenderloin of the go-go years of screen printing. Steve DiCilli will be there. Did you ever work with Steve?
On and off. I worked with him on the big. They did some trade shows, the big show in Mexico City, and then I wrote for Screen Printing on and off. And of course, their book division, ST Media, buys my books. So Steve and I have gone around and around. Then you've got Nancy Gray, who we both know. You said you've traveled probably the world and hung out with Nancy and done seminars with her, and
she was my go-to contact in the early years of me starting out when Sati Mesh was distributed by Majestec, Richard Gore's company that was from Somers. I've mentioned them a lot of times. She was my introduction to Sati, and she was the only one who could actually answer my questions. Then she moved to Precision. Did she work for Autotype? I don't think so. She worked for Precision and then worked for Rutland, and she worked for Stretch Devices.
Was she a Stretch with you or after you, or I don't know?
No, it was after me.
Oh, okay.
But her real goal, what she wanted to do, is she wanted to move to Mexico, and she lived in Atlanta for many years.
And she did, yeah.
She moved to Mexico and has been a Rutland, and of course Femore, another favorite company of mine. She's been a representative for Femore.
She's been around for years, and I always remember when she did a total immersion to learn Spanish, and so I remember just watching her in Mexico City because we used to go down there all the time and do shows for Casa Diaz and all those guys, and there'd be Nancy doing her como asa. I speak no Spanish, but she would just be very dogmatic because she wasn't a native speaker, and they loved her, and then she moved there, and I think she must still be living there, isn't she, or did she move back?
Oh, no, she's definitely living down there.
Yeah, well, it's a good addition. She's worthy. Not that other people aren't worthy of the Academy, but Nancy's paid her dues and given back, and I think, and that's good. And then Ray Greenwood, I don't know that well. You know more about Ray than I do.
He worked at Stretch Devices after I worked at Stretch Devices, and he's a very good industrial printer. He knows the technical end into the, he's been to a lot of places, not in the T-shirt forum, so to speak, or the T-shirt world that you and I know more than that, but he's a very, very good industrial printer. He worked as the technical leader of SGIA, SPTF, and SGIA. I don't remember exactly what his job was, but I think he was at SGIA for 5 full years, and then he went back into the private sector.
I don't remember that at all. But they're worthy. We have our dinner, and these are new members. And there's how many members do you think there are? 60 or 70? I'm just trying to think. Some of them are not active because they're foreign.
I don't think there's 60. Do you think there's 60?
I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about the picture. But then there's lots of guys like that are overseas that are members that never come.
Right.
And so you don't see those guys.
They're name only.
I guess we can say you and I are judging Golden Image. I mean, we're judging the student competition. Mm-hmm. Are you judging the other stuff?
I forget what I volunteered for. I think it's, again, Flatstock. I talked about how
I got volunteered for that, too. So you and I will be doing notebooks and binders, and I don't know what the list was. I was like, okay, I can do that kind of stuff. Let's see. I'm going to make sure I covered all the points. I hear rumors. The number one rumor I keep hearing is that Kornit is bringing out a new printer called the Vulcan. And as of today, I followed all the links I could find, and all I can see is a machine under tarp, like coming soon. Their brag is it's going to print 250 shirts an hour, be the fastest DTG printer in the world, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm thinking they must have gone to an array head. They would have had to. So I'm anxious to see that. They're supposed to roll it out at SGIA, so we'll see. That's the only thing I've heard as far as the rumor mill. Maybe you've heard rumors. I don't know what you've heard about.
Well, is 250 really that many? Haven't there been machines?
My machine was, but that was the DuPont artistry that I developed, but that was before its time. That's a lot, yeah. Even though Kornit will say on their ads for their Avalanche, it'll do 100 an hour, you watch that thing print and you go, no friggin' way. That thing is not printing 100 shirts an hour. So I think that sometimes their marketing claims have been a little exaggerated. Well, so we'll see on this whether if it's a scan head. I don't know how they can do it. You've got to pretty much have an array head. So we'll see. I'm up on SGIA though because I noticed on the floor plan this year, Sanmar's got a huge booth, and you don't get the T-shirt guys. And
really?
So that's a first. So they got a huge booth back by the garment zone, and I think that they're working hard to try and get the garment guys to exhibit, because that's been the big complaint. Everybody goes to Long Beach, which we're up on Long Beach. We're up on SGA, but we're up on Long Beach too, because Long Beach has all the garment guys, and that's coming up in January. And that's kind of a must-go-to show. But SGIA, I think, is going to be a good show. What I didn't see, I don't know if you've looked at the list, Union Ink, Rutland Ink, no, they're going to be there probably with Tubalite, distributors. But, what happened to the days of the ink guys, big booth, lots of samples, all of our friends there? Those are gone,
Well, last year, Rutland Group had just a tiny little booth. I interviewed Mike Ukenna, and I walked past. I said, where was it? I saw the big RG, and I thought that was my booth, but they did not give me an RG booth this year.
Those days are gone. It's unfortunate. I remember the days that they all had huge booths. Wilflex, I'm sure Wilflex has. Well, I'm not sure if Wilflex has a booth or not. They probably do. So we'll see. Anyway, SGIA, we're going to hang. I booked my hotel last night, some little grungy place that's within walking distance. You're at the DoubleTree.
I booked months ago.
I should have.
Months ago.
I never do that stuff. So anyway, then other shows coming up. I have a boot camp coming up. I get home from SGIA, and I've got a boot camp the 13th through the 15th here in beautiful Bowling Green. There's a FESPA China, which is what's the Chinese Association? CSPA. Mm-hmm. I should know that.
I think it's only got 4 letters.
Yeah, and it used to be, because SGI used to be SPA for those that are really old, and so this is the Chinese Screen Print Association, and then FESPA hooked up with them, so it's October 21st to the 23rd. I know Charlie's going over, and it's going to be a big show in Shanghai. I've never been to Shanghai or to a Chinese show other than Hong Kong, So.
No, I've only been to Hong Kong and mainland China, but not for a show.
Yeah, and then you got Long Beach, as we talked, the 22nd to the 24th, which has been on everybody's to-do list. You and I'll be there, and then we joked earlier. We talked out of school that there's a show, FESPA Fabric in Amsterdam in March, and we need to try and figure out how we can get a ride there, because we talked earlier about the Rye Center off camera. That's a great place to go. And so anyway,
it was always unusual. I love the lights the windows in the ceiling. They've got skylights. And I thought this was just amazing how great and beautiful and bright it was, until the sun started to come down, that nice May sun.
I remember that.
And give you you felt like you were under the magnifying glass and you were the ant getting fried up. So.
I know. What a great city for a show.
What a great city.
Yeah.
What a great
forgetting the fact that the people that go, well, Amsterdam, I can buy some dope. Well, you can buy dope in the U.S. a lot of places now, but the history that's there. And it's easy to get around.
I'm a teetotaler.
And if you, and just nothing sitting back and watching people ride bikes everywhere. So anyway.
Girls riding bikes.
I wasn't going to say that. Yeah. All right. We're not going to go there. So
Beautiful women per capita, Amsterdam.
Oh my God, the high cheekbones and stuff. So anyway, all right. Hey, that's our show for the day. I think, are we good? We covered we have our list over here. We've covered it all. And
we don't want Stefan calling up saying 45 minutes.
We have his list, by the way. Next show we got to cover Stefan's questions, because he has a few more now. He sent me a couple of.
We've only pushed him back 4 shows.
I know, Stefan, we love you, and we're going to answer your questions here in the next show. Anyway, great talking with you. I'll talk to you next week. Thanks, guys.
Bye.